Hi everybody, and welcome to lesson number 1 about the dry brush technique. And I hope you are just as excited as I am. And what I have here is a very plain and simple still life. And what you can see is that there are no lines visible, but you do see all the shapes because we simply place dark and light areas next to each other. So then a magnificent, beautifully still life will start to show. And also this is a very easy and nice way to start learning about the lights and the shadows, all the shapes and where the light is coming from, in this case from the right top, of course. And all we have is a ball, a cube and a cylinder. Now what I also did is I cut out the shapes of our cylinder and the sphere, because that will help us to quickly manage, and you can see it here, to quickly manage to create backgrounds. So it's just a fast way and also the way to start covering the bigger areas. And what you will need is, of course, a very large makeup brush and then some smaller brushes, your pencil eraser and a graphite pencil for the setup. And all you need to do is place just a little blob of oil paint, and then I simply put in a little bit of sewing machine oil, and then I blend that together. There was a cat hair there. So I will try to show you. You can use either an old brush or your palette knife, and then divide the oil paint as good as you can. And this is where it gets started. I've chosen a lightly colored watercolor paper, so you can see the schablons that I've cut out very good. And then make sure that there are no little blobs inside your brush. And then I take the side of the piece of paper that I've cut out, and I simply start coloring in the background. And by coloring in that background, the first corner of the cube is starting to show. Now I also do that with the sphere that is laying on top of the cube. And I've posted the end result in the right top corner, so you can see what we are working towards too. I put a little bit of shade on the sphere itself, and should you really be interested in getting very good at this dry brush technique, then you can see this on my Patreon page, and I've already uploaded a lot more videos about drawing with the dry brush technique on this Patreon page. So should you be interested or really want to get to know this dry brush technique, then you should really have a look there. Now in the meantime, I am placing the shadow that is casted by the sphere on the surface of the cube. So as you can see, you can easily correct it. If you make some little mistakes, you just take your pencil eraser and then you can just erase that tiny well, it's just a tiny layer of oil paint that is on your drawing paper. Now I want to draw in the left side of the cube. Excuse me. And I simply use the side of the piece of paper that I cut out. And there's also a casted shadow on the top of the table. So I also want to draw that in too. Now this is the side of the drawing area. So in that way I know where to stop. So I also draw in the corners of my drawing itself. And this is my flat brush, and with the flat brush I can draw in those very dark shadows, and it's a tiny stripe of dark shadow that is casted upon the table by that cube. The top of the cube should be really, really white, so I use the pencil eraser for that. And this is the tone, the gradation of gray for the right side of that cube. And in this way, the top of the cube is showing. So that's very, very quickly done. And it is so nice to get to see the shape by using this dry brush technique. It will really help you develop your sense of shapes and your sense of lights and darks. So a very, very neat technique indeed. And on my Patreon page I draw and talk in the same time. And that are all real-time, real-life recordings. So maybe if this is going too quickly for you, and here on the YouTube of course I need to skip here and there a little bit, because otherwise the films will get too long, then also you can always go to my Patreon page to see the real-time recordings. Now this is the part of the cylinder. And everything is done in the same way with the same brushes, and also here the cylinder is casting a shadow on the cube, on the right side of the cube. So I want to draw that in too, of course. And what you will also notice is how well, it's such a soft feel, so you can only imagine how great it is once you get to know your brushes and to know how much paint to put on your brushes. How amazing that is going to be when you want to start drawing maybe pet portraits or landscapes, or, well, even portraits, of course. The effect is simply amazing, and I've shown my drawings to several people now, my dry brush drawings, that is. And everybody is so amazed about how soft it looks, and they cannot figure out how I did it. So I simply started asking people, do you know what technique this is? And they started to watch real closely. But they know that if I was to draw this all in graphite, it still wouldn't look that soft, or it would take me for ages. It would take me hours and hours to get this kind of a soft feel with a graphite pencil. While with the dry brush technique, it is done very easily, and it gives that nice soft feel that I want to create. There are no lines in there, no harsh lines at all. And well, that is why I am picking up on this dry brush technique. And I'm new at it too. I've only been doing this for 2 months now, and well, I just love it so much that I wanted to make September my Brushtember month. So Brushtember is all about learning how to draw with the brush, and by using a brush. Oh, hi Mercy. Hi Mercy. That was my cat. By using a brush and by drawing with a brush, you start avoiding to draw harsh lines, and you simply get that nice feel, that nice soft feel that I wanted to create. So, of course, I hope you will draw along with me the whole month of Brushtember with me. And what is also important is that if you want to go in darker and darker, that you simply build up your layers of gray, and in that way creating the darker values. So do not put on more oil paint on your brush, but just build up your layers very slowly and take your time with it. So, for so far, lesson number 1 in getting acquainted with the dry brush technique. Should you want to know a lot more about it, then you can check my Patreon page, of course. And for now, I would say I will see you again next Friday with a lesson number 2. Take care.